get up, get out, and get something. Don't let the days of your life pass by. You need to get up, get out, and get something. Don't spend all your time trying to get high. You need to get up, get out, and get something. How will you make it if you never even try? You need to get up, get out, and get something. Cause you and I got to do for you and I.
Welcome to 1525 Norman Drive, the talk show. I am your host, Nikki, and this is the realest co-host that is out there in the land. So I would like to welcome.
I liked it, but when you said land, it reminded me of Cleveland. Oh, so I don't even really think we're coming over. I'm just saying.
Out the gate.
You know what?
Out the gate.
You know,
introduce yourself. Right. Okay.
That's tough.
Introduce yourself.
Big Cam.
Hey, I'm Jasmine.
Lucky Lefty.
Yes, and today we are doing a special start off with a Father's Day tribute. So we want to shout out a male figure that influenced you the most. Who would that be? If you had to say who is a male figure that influenced you the most.
Well, I guess I'll jump out first. First of all, I want to shout out my dad, Jimmy Jones Jr. He influenced me the most because he been there. When I grew up and when a lot of people in my neighborhood that had a father figure around, man. So he always been a stand-up guy. Always taught me what a real man should be, and I love him to death for that. So shout out to my pops, man. Love you.
Priceless.
Same thing with me, man. My pops, Bo, big Bo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Muscle, OG Muscle.
Yeah. Shout out to
Y'all
that.
they call me back in the shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But right or wrong, man, I learned from my pops, good and bad. The good and the bad, man, I learned basically everything from my pops. So, you know,
Good.
happy Father's Day to you, Pop.
I mean, I would definitely say my dad. I don't have the luxury of knowing my grandfathers, either of them on both sides, but my dad was amazing. Like, I have zero complaints. He did what he needed to do. He set an example, and he definitely has set the bar high for my expectations for men in whatever role you play in my life. So shout out to my dad. Yeah.
What you gonna say yourself? Well, I got to myself. It ain't a better with this greatness that I have.
Shout the world with this one.
Here you go.
Here you go.
Donald Trump.
So that concludes our episode 15.
Can I say what I'm saying? Can I say what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, if y'all want to let me talk,
I want to hear it. Cool. We're going to let it hit.
Trump.
Got to hear this.
Go ahead.
What's up?
Soundbite ready.
I got you recorded.
They're going to be an exclusive right here.
Come on. Trump wife.
Seriously,
Go ahead.
I feel like Trump teaches us how to be for our people. He for his people. And one thing I learned about him, he doing for what he want to do. No right or wrong, he doing for his people. And that's how we should be for our people. And that's what I took out of his presence. Take out of his presence. Like whether our people right or wrong, we gotta start being for them. You know what I'm saying? I think we don't give us a lot of chances. You see what I'm saying? One thing wrong, oh shit, I ain't fucking with him no more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But other cultures don't do that. They stick with them.
See what you on today.
Well, he coming deep.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
I'm gonna agree to disagree.
Okay, I just long as I got you.
Agree to disagree.
I'm in respect. But Jazz, what you think? Who would you shout out?
My dad, but it's gonna be an orthodox answer.
Uh-oh.
My dad, for the first, see there he go. There
No,
he goes.
no, you started with that. Go ahead.
It's unorthodox. I want to shout out my dad, not because he did the best job as a dad. I think he did the best he could do. But I want to shout out my dad because he was able to find his way out. You know, my dad wasn't super lovey-dovey and he really wasn't expressive, but now that he's a little bit older, he's able to kind of figure out the wrongs that he did as a father and say, gosh, you know, I wasn't connected. So I was like, my dad is a real person. And for the first time, I was able to see like, okay, he's just a man and he's just trying. So I want to shout out my dad because he made me realize it's never too late to work on yourself.
That's real.
And being a man and not coming up like his dad wasn't expressive either. So for him to kind of find his way, and he just turned 70. At 70, I'm proud of him.
Shout out to
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Yeah,
him. Shout out to
that's
him.
What's his name?
Government
Oh.
Stan.
Stan.
Shout out to Stan.
Stan
Shout
the
out
man.
to Stan the
Stan
man.
the
And
man.
shout out to
Absolutely.
Stan.
Oh, extra shout out to my granddaddy too, man.
Oh, okay.
OG Harold, man, the best number one in Cleveland, Ohio.
We still talking about Cleveland? You gonna bring up Cleveland again?
Hey man, he's 99. Yeah, OG man, Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh my God. All right. So speaking of, things that our parents could do or learning they could do, I want to switch directions a little bit and kind of talk about what you guys think is something that the church could do more of to help the community.
Wow.
What do y'all think?
I think just more like after school programs and activities to keep the kids off the street. Like I don't feel like churches do any of that.
Yeah.
I think they open it up on Sundays and to their events, but it's during the week. There's a lot of kids that just running around the streets doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you give them something to do, you ain't always gotta teach them the word directly. Just give them activities to do. I think churches should have their own football league, basketball leagues for kids, because it gives them something to do. But at the same time, you can throw in the word if indirectly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But just that'll help them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of had trouble with the question because me personally, I want to know what they're doing in the first place, other than just having service. You know what I mean?
Here we go.
'Cause I'm just saying, just being real. A lot of the time, I mean, you really have to be. You probably have to search for some churches that actually are really in the community, like. You know what I mean? Sometimes they pick and choose what they do. You know what I mean?
Depending on the neighborhood.
Yeah, depending on the neighborhood. I ain't just gonna blame people for what they do.
Yeah.
They might have a method to their madness, but at the end of the day, it's just a lot of the time, are you actually in the community to begin with? So just taking that first step, I would say, would be what they should do.
Yeah.
Actually get out here in the community. Like Creflo Dollar right here down the street. You know what I mean? I don't even gotta say nothing else. Niggas just laughing like, okay, you know what it is.
Dollars.
I mean,
ATM.
like he does do things. I ain't gonna just say he don't do nothing. You know what I mean? But it's just a lot more that can be done, bro. You making millions of dollars on my street, bro. You feel me? So yeah, you could do more.
Your street. I like that. I like that, man. I like that.
Okay. Holding down old
If I
nasty.
could catch you, I would sit.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in the church.
Yeah.
Unwillingly. But no. But I'm just saying.
The devil is here.
The devil had his hands on you, girl.
But no, I mean, my mom grew up in the church, so every Sunday we had to get up and go. So my church, I mean, they were in the community, but what I wish they would have had was more people that were relatable. It was like everybody, they were saints. So it was just hard to find that connection when you were trying to figure it out. So I kind of wish they probably would have had more team programs or even just people that maybe, just had a past life and they can speak their experience and not feel like everybody had to be saved and sanctified. And I mean, people probably did have a past in there, but they weren't talking about it openly. So I think if they could just start having real conversations about real life experiences, so people, the sinners, I guess, I don't even know what they would call them, but they will come into the doors.
Yep.
So that's what they need to do.
That was a great answer.
That was a great answer. That's hard to follow up behind, but I'm gonna piggyback what you just said. I think something they could do more of is start really changing the way they teaching in church as well.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I think for the
I
same,
like that.
for so long they've been preaching the same preachings and the same teaching. I think it's more, education out here now. People are reading up more and more. So a lot of things that they're preaching in the church to us is contradicting themselves. So we need answers,
Speak on it,
number
yeah.
one. So I think they first got to connect back to that, the truth, and upgrading their teaching.
Yeah.
And then, start being so judgmental and start just really helping people out, and let God be the one to do the judging at the end of the day.
Right.
That's what I think.
Boy.
Yeah. And I mean, for my personal opinion, I would have to agree with Cam on his statement with basically saying, based on the community that you are in, figure out what that community needs. I mean, I can say I go to a phenomenal church. Like, we have a food truck that feeds the homeless. Like, we have different programs for teens, young adults, singles, married people. Like, We have a financial university that teaches people like financial literacy. So those are all things that, you know, the community around us and people within the church spoke about and said we wanted, and my pastor and different committees made it happen. So that helps, and that keeps people involved in the church, that keeps people committed to coming to church. And then you get more than just a word out of it. Like, you get full circle, you know, building and growth within your life, like when you have a church that fulfills you in more than one way. So I think that's the number one thing like churches can do. So I would agree with you on that.
Girl, you need to shout your church.
So shout out to Elizabeth Baptist Church, the Cascade campus. That is my home.
Okay.
My home church.
So I'm in the Cascade, you really love that
I
church.
sure do. I sure do. Shout out to Craig Alfred.